Hey, Kimberly!
Hi, Kimberly! She is a solid live viewer. We love you, Kimberly.
It's absolutely
And Kimberly
true.
loves this movie.
Kimberly loves this movie. Well, welcome to Kimberly and everyone else listening and watching. You are hanging out in the video store with Matt and Kate for another episode of the VHS Club. We're talking strictly Ballroom tonight, which is a 1992 gem of a movie that is Baz Luhrmann's first directorial debut and just absolutely fantastic. So I'm so glad Kimberly loves it. I hope that everyone gets a chance to see this one because it holds up. I've seen it like probably hundreds of times and it is just solidly good every single time. So teaser spoiler, but it's good. It's a good one. How's it going now?
So good. It's going good. How are you?
Good. Did you get a chance to watch this one? Rewatch
I
this
did.
One? We know you've seen it, but have you re-seen it?
Yes. I'm pretty sure the first time I saw it was in the basement of your house and your dad had it on VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before we were buying movies for ourselves. And your dad's like, I have this great movie. You guys need to watch it.
Yeah.
And we've loved it ever since.
It's so like rewatching all of these movies now as an adult. And I have no like concept as to how old. I mean, this movie came out when I was 9. But I like have no concept as to how old I was when I originally watched it because we as a family rented a ton of movies and bought a ton of movies.
Yeah.
We always had like a Friday night movie night and we had many other nights where we did movie nights. So like I don't know how old I was when I watched it, but watching it again as an adult, I was like, I went like now that I have an 8-year-old and 11-year-old, I'm like, I don't think either of my kids would have enjoyed watching this at the ages that they're at now. But maybe they would. Who knows? Maybe they would have. There's nothing like I don't think anything inappropriate in this movie. But no. I was just like I loved this movie as a kid. I still love it. Yeah. I love it rewatching it now. But it's funny like thinking about what I loved as a kid. I wonder how old I was when I first saw it. Maybe I was closer to like 12 or 13. And
I find storytelling in general is very different nowadays.
True.
It's like in movies like this, or especially in movies older than this, there was always an intro. I mean, movies used to roll the credits like of actors and stuff at the beginning of the movie, not at the end of the movie. So there was always like this intro and the scene was set. And now you watch a movie and it's like action and 20 minutes later you get the opening credits.
That's true. I will say
so it's
like
very different.
This movie, for those of you who have not yet seen it, and we'll jump obviously into like the full plot of it, but this movie is about ballroom dancing. It is incredibly glamorous, like in a really like fun way, but like obviously like all of the costumes and the physicality and the music and the movement in this movie is really fun to watch. So I can imagine that for probably at least for my daughter who would be like super into I think just kind of the glam and the glitz of this.
So much glitter.
Yeah, a lot of
body,
glitter,
rhinestones,
feathers. All of it.
It's actually really camp.
It's really camp, and it's what's I think really great about this movie, and it was interesting rewatching it now that I've seen kind of so many other obviously movies and television since I originally watched it, but it definitely is of the genre of this like mockumentary. Like it feels very much like Best in Show if you've seen that. It has a similar feel to The Office and some of those things. yeah, Kimberly's saying in the comments, it's definitely a corny movie. It's got like this level of comedy to it. It's Australian, so it's got the fun of the accents if you love listening.
It's a bit of a satire, really.
It is a bit
too.
of a satire, yeah. Yeah.
It's very tongue-in-cheek. It makes fun of this very competitive world of professional dance.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it really goes out of its way to show that all of these characters have real lives and real jobs outside of this very strict, rigid dance competition world.
Yeah.
So it really does poke fun like at this.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about this movie, and Nat can get more into the specifics of it because that's totally her jam, but the basic premise of this movie is that there is a married couple who own a ballroom dancing studio. They do other kinds of dancing, I think, but in general, ballroom dancing studio. And their son is like the up and coming, like going to be a big deal, is already a big deal ballroom dancer. He's partnered with this, beautiful quote unquote, you can take it as you will, woman, and
say
like
vinyl.
Yeah, everything is like, in this kind of like perfect, it's his year, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And he throws it all away for this opportunity to dance his own dance moves, which is something that's like clearly super important to him. Everyone is flabbergasted by it. And as it turns out, there is a
not
woman...
his regulation dance moves.
Yes,
he wants to do his own steps, like his own choreography.
He has come up with his own choreography, and he wants to just dance his own dance moves, which I feel like, and I don't want to get too much into gender, but what I love about this movie is that here is like a man who's like this attractive, like accomplished man who is a ballroom dancer, which is already just incredible. And he's like, I want to dance my own dance moves, which like is already what you would expect like a woman lead to feel and do, but he just like owns it and is incredible at it. And then you are introduced to the female lead character, who is like this very, when you first meet her, kind of like mousy, quiet, like beginning dance student who like dances with another woman, and she's like in the background, and she's like the one who is like helping to clean the studio. She's like, useless. Like she's just
she doesn't have a male partner because she's not quote unquote good enough to even bother to pair her properly.
But there is a moment in this movie where he's decided he's going to dance his dance moves. And, and he's going to do his thing, but he's still a little bit uncertain as to how. Everyone's pushing back. He's going to lose everything, you guys. He's going to lose everything if he dances his own dance moves. And enter this character, Fran, who is got to be hands down one of like the best female leads out there, because she just like walks up to him and is like, I'll dance your moves with you. And he's like, I'm sorry, what? And she's like, I'm going to dance your moves with you. I'm amazing. I'm gonna do. And like, not only does she like have the guts to go up to this like famous, incredibly attractive one, like owner's son of the dance studio, she's like
it's
trying
like a nerdy
to,
girl approaching the
like
hot guy in high
she's
school.
All that,
like,
but like not. Exactly. And so she like goes up to him, and she doesn't back down. So like it I forget how long this scene is, but rewatching this, I was like, you go, friend. He's like, no, I don't need you to dance with me. Like I'm going to figure it out. And she's like, I'm going to dance your dance with you. No one else is going to. I'll let you dance your moves with you. I'm incredible. Like, you can teach me anything else. I'll dance your dance with you. And like, it's
just like, I've been practicing in my bedroom at home. Obviously I can do this. Like, you've never noticed this in the dance studio.
Exactly. She just like doesn't come close to backing down. And
no, completely fearless. Completely fearless. Like, right from the get. And you learn more about her obviously as the movie continues, and they have this like wonderful whirlwind romance. But I just love that scene because it's so out of nowhere, and it's not that I think that someone wouldn't do that, but it's just lovely to watch. Like, she just kind of comes out of nowhere, and he's sort of like tells her no, basically, and she's like, yeah, but I'm gonna dance with you. Anyway, your no means nothing.
No means nothing in this. And I know consent, but also it's just great. It's just, he's like, no, and she's like, yeah, if you want to dance your dance moves, you need me.
Yeah,
So
I love
I'm gonna
even later
dance.
when he does agree to work with her and they're practicing every day. They have 3 weeks to get to the competition.
Yeah.
Um and so he lost his partner because she ditched him.
Yeah,
They were at
she
like
did
the
not want to lose.
semifinals
Yeah. Yeah.
and he did his own dance move because he got boxed in, which is it happens in a dance competition where you're like another couple basically makes sure that you don't have access to the stage. The judges can't see you. It's a really shady thing, but it's technically not illegal from what I understand.
Yeah, dancing your own moves is apparently. So there
It
you go.
is.
Yeah.
So he does his own moves to get them out of being boxed in, and then after the competition his partner has a complete meltdown, is like, I quit, which we're all like, yay, you seem
Yay, see
horrible.
you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
um But so him and Fran, Scott and Fran are practicing their dance moves, and he's trying to figure out some choreography. He's like, I can't basically get from point A to point B, and he's trying to figure it out, but he's a little stuck. And she's like, how about? And he keeps cutting her off. He's like, no, 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 I got this. No, I got it. And she just does it, and he's like, oh, okay, I shut up now and listen.
Yeah, she does not back down for
Yeah.
anything. And
No.
he, like, it takes him a while to appreciate her and, you know, eventually like fall for her. But I mean, talk about just like powerful women
Yeah.
leads. Like, she's just such a great, I should make both my kids watch this movie just for her character. Cause I just think it's so inspiring to watch where
Yeah.
like it's not that he's like even overtly mean to her in any, I mean, a couple of moments where
No,
he's
he
like in
just
it for
thinks he
himself,
has
but
the experience.
yeah, I mean, he does. Like, she doesn't, she doesn't have the experience, but
Yeah.
there's something about like her level of passion and like relentlessness that is just fantastic. And I
Yeah.
don't know, I props to all the actors in this movie are absolutely incredible, but yeah, she is just
One
awesome.
of the things I love about Scott, and I really only paid attention to it this time watching it,
Mm.
but every scene that he moves through, he's actually dancing.
Yes,
Like when he
the
walks
movement
to the
in this movie.
door
Yep.
to go see what he hears a noise in the basement of the dance studio, and it's his dad tinkering around in the basement. When he goes up, he basically sachets up to the door and then poses with his porte-bras. Like it's full dance. And
It's full
for our
dance.
listeners, I used to dance, not ballroom at all, but I used to do a lot of dancing from a
Yeah.
very young age until an adult age. But I'm too tall, so never did anything with it other than
Yeah.
enjoy it. But yeah, so he really like, and that was, I mean, that obviously was a Baz Luhrmann choice, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I also love how Fran was genuinely an ugly duckling at the
Yes.
beginning of the movie. Like, they did such a good job at making
Yeah.
her really ugly. And
Yeah.
it's not like Rachel Lee Cook, where it's
Yeah.
like they take the glasses off and it's like, she's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
like, I did not see how this was going to work out at the beginning of the movie when I first saw it. I'm like, there's no way she's going to be pretty.
Yeah,
But they do it so well. It's so subtle, too. It's not like an aha moment. It's like, you see at the beginning, she's wearing very thick glasses, very baggy clothes. So she looks stocky.
She's frumpy. She's like the epitome of the
Yeah,
word
very.
frumpy. Yeah.
Her hair is all messy. Her wild curly hair is completely untamed.
Yeah.
And then slowly you see her skin gets more clear. And then she starts to brush her hair. And then they take her glasses off. And she's wearing tighter clothes. And not tighter clothes, like clothes that just fit her properly. And
exactly.
she's just all of the sudden
Scandalous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's yeah. And I love that they include it in the storyline. So they're, you know, she's sort of finding herself in this, like, you know, she's all in. She's all in on this. Like, she sees this as an opportunity to go all in. She wants to learn how to dance. She believes in him and his ability. She sees the opportunity and she's there. And so it, like, and I love that Scott's mother and father own this dance studio, and his mother is like slightly vapid but kind of awesome. But she
So
like
great.
throughout the entire time she's she's like asking Fran to like stay late to clean up, and she's like recommending like face creams and things. So it's like it's kind of
Yeah, she
great
kind of
that
seems to do like one of those like Mary Kay or whatever
yeah
on the
yeah
side. So she like sells like facial scrubs and makeup. She tries makeup out on Fran.
yeah
Like Fran seems to be very integrated into this world and into this family without
she's
any
part of
of
the
them really
family. Yeah,
realizing it.
yeah. Yeah, no, but you're right though. She definitely is like she does a really fantastic job, whether that's, a combination of the actress and, makeup and costume and whatever else. But she does. She really does. She seems very like
Well,
normal
it's
and
like
average and frumpy and
posture
forgotten. Yeah.
changes and
Yep. Yep.
she's suddenly holding her frame. She has better posture. It's and then the way she moves starts to kind of be like she dances everywhere like Scott does.
Yep.
It's very well done, fascinating, and it's definitely not that. And the actress is actually beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at how they made her look so plain at the beginning. It's still like, no, not the same person.
I know. I like rewatched and I was like, oh wow, yeah. And I like you because in my mind I see her in like the
At
latter
the
half of the
end.
movie, yeah, where she's like in
Yeah.
this like fabulous outfit and she's like, doing this amazing dance. It's it's a I just yeah, I can't encourage anyone to watch this movie enough. Paul just joined us and snuck in the back door. Paul's seen this, so you can chime in, Paul, with all of your thoughts and feelings on this one. But it yeah, I just think like I can see how this movie launched Baz Luhrmann's career.
Yeah.
I can definitely see why it took so much recognition and why it was able to go beyond Australia, right? Like this was an Australian movie with
Yeah.
with an all Australian cast. It is I
It was
imagine
at a
especially at that
time
time,
where foreign film didn't quite reach
yeah, it would have
the
been difficult to get across the
American
pond.
shores,
Yeah.
so to speak. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for a few fun facts to get out to everyone. So this movie started as a play that
Mhm.
Baz Luhrmann wrote while it's still in school. He was a dancer, was a ballroom dancer. His mother was a dance teacher. So I'm sure that there was some semblance. I don't know if he was Scott, everyone, but maybe there was he just wanted to dance his own moves. But there was some semblance, I'm sure, of his life that came through it. I'm sure it was highly personal to him to some level. But it went from the Cannes Film Festival to a 15-minute standing ovation at the end, and then
Yeah.
was purchased by, I believe, Miramax Studio afterwards. So it went from being like, a school project of something that I'm sure he was really passionate about to fulfilling this vision. And hilariously, the most, I think, and I'm probably going to get this quote somewhat wrong, but the most expensive scene, I think, or part of this movie was actually the scene that was filmed at Fran's house. So Fran, again, is like kind of the ugly duckling. She comes from a immigrant family. She's clearly like Italian, but she's playing a Spanish
Yeah.
comes from a Spanish family, but she lives like literally on the wrong side of the tracks. Her house like is right up against a train station, and so they actually like had to, I don't know if they rented or filmed. They had to find a location that fit that environment, and that was one of the most expensive parts of the movie for them,
Yeah.
was like that location. But I think the scenes at her house and the interactions with her family are just magical. Like
Yeah, I love how they're introduced too. It's like Scott follows her home one day or walks her home one day. Not follows, that sounded creepy.
no
He walks her home one night.
no, he doesn't though. He does kind of follow her. Like she is in this like phase where, not phase, that's not the right word. She is taking dance classes, which she's clearly like allowed to do. She's an adult, but she's
Yeah.
living at home, and obviously she has like this very kind of traditional old school family where
Yeah.
she like she has obligations. She's there to help out. We don't know what happened to her mother,
It
but her
seems
mother's
they
not in
run a
the
convenience
yeah.
store.
So she's kind of hurrying home, and
Yeah.
so he's like following after her to because he wants to dance with her. But yeah,
Yeah.
he does in a non-creepy way. He follows
In a
her.
non-creepy
He's
way.
trying to talk more with her, but he kind of
It's
ends
like
up
they get to
uninvited at her
her
house. Yeah.
Yeah, they get to her place and you see it's like the convenience store. You could tell it's kind of shut down. It's like dusk. And there's literally a trash can fire like in the edge of the
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Like, wow, they're really trying to point out she's like from the other side of the tracks.
She lives
It's like
on
so
the
dramatic.
tracks. She's
From
literally
like
on them. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like from the glitz and the glamour of all the ballroom costumes to like trash can fires.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
her dad comes out and is like, "What is this? Who is this boy?" And he basically tries to like kick him out of
Yeah.
the yard. And she's like, "Oh no, like he's my dance partner." And then immediately it's like her family, her grandmother, and a whole band just like up here, like at the
Well,
side.
they're having like a backyard party, I guess.
Not
I
when
mean, they
they
don't really
first
have.
met. Like we didn't know that at that
Yeah.
point. Like it
They
was
have
just,
people over. It's hard to say why or how many, but they do
but
kind
yeah,
of appear. And I love this moment because, and Paul's saying this as well. The
yeah.
grandmother is absolutely fantastic because you can see she's got this like sparkle in her eye. She's like very like, oh, like this, like this very attractive man is here. Like and Scott tries his best to be like, oh no, like she's my dance partner and I'm a big deal. I'm a dancer. And the father is just like, okay,
Prove it.
dance then. Like,
But of
which
course,
is just
like
awesome.
they were practicing the rumba,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of the sudden, Scott makes this like unilateral decision to be like, "We dance the paso doble like to this Spanish family,"
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Backhoe.
she's like, "Excuse me, we have not practiced that," and he's like, "Just try and keep up," and then it's like a complete washout.
Yeah.
It was like, thank God they didn't do that at the semifinals because
Yeah.
it wouldn't have gone well.
No, it definitely wouldn't have.
Yeah, and Grandma decides to teach him how to feel the rhythm,
Feel the rhythm. Yeah.
which she does in the movie, and it's one of our favorite scenes where she does by tapping the chest to like get the rhythm of the dance,
Yeah.
and like which is in tune to your heartbeat, and she just like rips his shirt open, and she's like, "Ooh."
She is
Like, no
absolutely
shame,
incredible.
Grandma.
No shame. As every
Love
grandmother
her.
should be. She's just
Yeah.
completely ridiculous. And it it's so great because there's so many, and Paul says this as well. There are so many things in this movie that come across in the moments without dialogue, in the quiet
Yes.
of the movie. You have these two very different families, very different universes, right? So I mean, Fran lives in this space where she has this high obligation to family. She's lost her mother. She's like, helping with her father and her grandmother. She has all these obligations. She's making it work because she wants to dance. Whereas
Hmm.
you have Scott, who's has been given everything, but he feels restricted, right? He's not able to do what he wants to do. He's like somewhat embarrassed to even admit to his parents that he's dancing with Fran. He's still doing auditions with like all these other women. And,
Yeah.
there's this moment where he finally is like brave enough to, to say that he's ready. He wants to dance with Fran and I forget what level it is, but one of the competitions, and it goes horribly wrong because
Yeah.
his family overreacts because, they've found him the better, like more famous partner, and that, they're going to help out because they're in it to win, right? I mean, they own a dance studio. They've been like, I'm sure, investing all of this time and money throughout their entire lives
Yeah. I mean,
on,
there's
for him to
also
succeed.
the dance federation, like the people who are in charge of judging and the rules and all of this for the ballroom competitions, basically threaten his parents, like with and his dance coach with like, well, if Scott doesn't follow the regulation steps, like that could be bad for the studio. So like we do find out it's all about the money.
Yeah, they're going to lose. I mean, there's clearly a history there as well. Like, so
Yeah.
on one hand, you're like, come on, like let him just dance when he wants to dance. Let him dance with Fran. Like, we're rooting for this couple to win and to be
Yeah.
true to themselves. But on the other hand, like, this is their livelihood, and they've invested like, tons of money and time
Their
both
whole
in him
life. So
and
we
all the
find
other
out,
students.
yeah, we find out his parents were in ballroom competitions when they were younger. And he's been dancing ballroom since he was 6.
Yeah.
And he has 2 significantly younger siblings in this that are also dancing ballroom.
Yeah.
Little ballroom babies, which they're hilarious. They're actually, they kind of seem to be the narrators of this, whereas everybody is very melodramatic throughout the whole movie. You have like the younger siblings that pipe in with like the voice of reason and be like, oh, look, everybody's reacting like this because they're shocked at seeing Scott and Fran dance together, like in this chaotic scene where everybody discovers that they're dancing together.
Yeah.
So they're really funny. I also love, one of the things I noticed was when he's very well put together, he's very ballroom, his hair is all like properly coiffed and shellacked, and his outfits are also proper. And then every time he dances with Fran and he's, doing his own choreography and learning different types of dance, his hair gets a little messy, it gets fallen in his face. And then near the end of the movie, when it's the Grand Pan Pacific finals, he's supposed to dance with Fran. He's told everybody he's dancing with Fran, but the board, like the regulation board, the judges decide he can't do that because they don't want any new steps introduced for financial reasons. And so they're like, oh, somebody's partner is retiring, this really famous dancer, we'll just have her dance with him. So he's like, oh, okay, I guess I have to do it. But then, COVID brain, I lost my train of thought.
No, I
that's so real. So the COVID brain fog.
What ends up happening is, they lie to him. So Barry the Bee, as Paul is calling, he goes
Barry
over.
Fife.
Barry Fife goes over, who is the
Fife.
leader of the dance federation. So there's a backstory with Scott's parents. So Scott's parents have been ballroom dancers for forever, but you find out at the beginning of the movie that his dad, who is like fantastic throughout this movie,
my favorite character,
very like quiet and kind of like dances to himself and his wife is very like outspoken and bold, but her husband is very kind of quiet and in his own mind, right? So Barry tells Scott that his parents, who he thought he thought his mother was a ballroom dancer and that his mother had danced with the
dance
co-owner
coach
of the studio dance coach that he works with. But it turns out that Scott's father was actually also a ballroom dancer who wanted to dance his own moves. And Scott was told by Barry that his father did dance his own moves, and it destroyed everyone, right? Like it made his father go crazy. It almost ruined their marriage. It almost lost the studio. And his father is like, according to Barry, his father is like lives in shame as a result of this. And that's why he doesn't dance anymore. And it's this huge thing. Yeah. And that, which is kind of it's kind of a nice moment for Scott, because he is just sort of like let Fran down a couple of times by bailing on her, and then finally is like stood up and been like, no, I'm going to dance with Fran. I'm going to dance my own moves. Like he's found his backbone. And then the only thing that's really able to derail him is protecting his family, which is like a nice thing. I mean, he's clearly being lied to and it's horrible and you feel horrible for Fran, but it's a nice moment for the character where he is willing to give up everything, including his own passion and potentially his relationship with Fran, which is, growing to this romantic relationship, because he's worried about his dad and his parents and like his family, which I think is somewhat admirable. And so he decides not to dance, but or not to dance his own moves. And he decides to go back to his original partner, who is still, who has had a falling out with her backup partner and is desperate to kind of be back with him. But I think it's one of those moments where like, it's going to all work out well in the end, because it's clearly like this very like, beautiful, funny, like romantic comedy, but it's that moment where you kind of understand where he's coming from, and it's nice because
He
it
feels
gives
the pressure of responsibility.
it
Yeah.
is, right? There is a lot of pressure to it, and I feel like that would be like a realistic response. And it's also nice because it gives the secondary characters the opportunity to rise to the occasion. So there are a
Yeah.
number of like there's another um dancing couple who are
Wayne.
engaged, and they're really cute, right? They're like, and you don't really learn a whole lot about them throughout the movie, but they've always kind of been number two to Scott and his partner, and they like, and they're friends, and they've obviously grown up in the
Yeah.
same studio as him, and they figure out what's happened, and they're willing to throw away everything in order to like let Scott do his thing and
Well, yeah, they
reveal the
find out the
truth, right?
competition is fixed,
They
that
find out it's all
regardless
fixed,
of who
yeah.
dances, like the drunk Ken and the champion Tina Sparkle are gonna win
Drunk
regardless.
Ken and Barbie are gonna win regardless. Yeah, yeah.
Paul actually picked up where I lost my plot before.
Paul's here. Paul, you should
Thank
have
you,
been
Paul.
on. You should have been on this
My
episode.
point was that, so for Barry Fife, who's like the president of the judging committee,
Mm-hmm.
he has all these videotapes
Yeah.
teaching
How to
dance
dance
moves.
video.
So if there's
Yep.
new moves, he's
Yep.
gonna lose money. Anyways,
Yep.
that was where
Well,
that's where I was trying to go.
Comes down to power, control, and money, right? Everything comes down to power, control, and money. But
his key move that his tapes were selling was the bogo pogo.
Yeah.
Which I love saying, bogo pogo.
It's amazing saying it in an Australian accent, which I will not try, but it is absolutely fantastic. So this movie has this absolutely fantastic ending where Scott, even though he has grown up in this dance studio and he, thinks he knows everything and he thinks he's this fantastic dancer and he's going to make up all of his own moves, he has learned how to dance the paso doble from Fran's family, her father and her grandmother. He's found his passion. He's found the movement.
Dance. Yeah.
But he's found it by kind of humbling himself and learning from from someone who knows more than him, and he is able to dance it without music. So there's this really wonderful moment where he decides he's going to go in and he's going to dance with Fran. She's still, thankfully, like her grandmother and father are there and they have her costume and she's like going to run out.
Grandma's like, I knew it, just in case I brought your dance costume.
Right. So they
we brought one for you too.
I know, exactly. Like, we're just ready. We're absolutely ready. And so they end up back on stage, and of course it's this battle, right? Because you have Barry with, Paul says, his flapping toupee, which he's just
the hairpiece was so good.
He is the grossest bad guy. Like, everything about him, you're just like, you're gross. Everything about him
like all
gross.
fake tanned, like puffy, and alcohol swollen fingers.
Yeah, he's just gross.
Like a creep. Oh God, he's so funny.
He's so funny, but gross. And so there's like all this stuff, like, against him, and here are Fran and Scott, and they're like, they've decided they're
the music gets cut, anyway, the lights get cut.
Yep.
And his dad just starts clapping, like that slow clap. And then the grandmother and father of Fran start clapping too, so that they could feel the rhythm. Yeah. And they start to dance the paso doble, and the whole audience joins in clapping. And then finally, the evil Barry Fife realizes that he's been defeated.
And it was just like, there are moments in TV and film and music, where you like hear something or see something or smell something and it just like takes you back to a memory. That moment where you're just like, I could dance the paso doble. I could do it.
When he slides in.
Yeah. He slides
in to like center stage on his knees. I still get shivers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. It was like, yes, he finally grew a pair.
Yeah.
Which was not what I was saying when I was a kid. I'm like, yay. Like now I'm like, oh, good for you.
Oh yeah.
And of course he
fantastic.
And Fran dance paso doble, and it's beautiful. And then at the end of it, basically the competition just was a washout. Like it never ended. And everybody from the stands all like jumps in to dance. The music goes back on, the lights come back on, and the song Love Is in the Air starts playing and everybody's dancing, and it's really adorable.
It is. It's a really...
The dad, okay, so throughout the whole movie, like right off from the beginning, the dad is like, can I bend your ear for a tick? Which I still to this day say that. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I do. I
You
know
do.
what you're
You
talking
do.
about.
And oh, it's so cute. And so it's like the whole movie, the dad is like trying to be like, okay, son, like I need to tell you just to dance your own moves. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's what you should
He,
do.
the dad finally stands up for
But
himself
he
as well.
finally, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love there's this
It's
one
so good.
chaotic scene where they're all getting ready and the like it's in the morning, you can see the kids are eating breakfast, the mom is still in her house coat, the dad's just reading the paper or whatever he's doing. And it's complete chaos in the house, and they're trying to figure out how it's like a few days before the competition, we need to find Scott a partner. And the mom's wearing that like I didn't murder my rich older husband like house coat, you know, like the silk satin with the
Yeah,
big like feather
with the
trim.
feathers. Yeah,
I love it. It's so I mean, honestly, this movie is just ridiculous. Every scene is purposefully funny.
yeah.
And yeah, oh, I love it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also love the flashback scene where Barry's trying to tell Scott, like, oh, your father, he lost his mind because he danced his own steps and it almost ruined your mother's career and he cracked up and that's why he's weird now. That whole scene, first of all, was very pantomime. So
Yeah,
that was really funny. They had like pantomime makeup and it was ridiculous. It was a fever dream. Like,
yeah.
it was like rewatching it, I'm like, this is so weird. I love it.
It's so
Oh, it was
glorious.
crazy.
Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about that has one of my all-time favorite songs is Scott and Fran after she first confronts him, they have like it's like a dance music montage where they end up dancing on the rooftop like, on a
Yeah,
hot summer's night to Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time, which is like one of my
yeah,
all-time favorite songs, and it's so incredibly romantic and fantastic.
yeah,
And what's even more sweet about it is that they think they hear a noise down when they're in the studio and they don't want to be caught together because she's a beginner and he's a famous dancer. So they go up onto the roof and it's the father who's like always kind of fumbling around in the studio and he's just like dancing his own moves so you see
yeah.
outside, kind of staring directly at this studio, you see the father dancing on the main floor inside and then Scott and Fran outside
Dancing his own
dancing.
steps.
And I will say, and I'm sure all of you who have seen any of Baz Luhrmann's movies will feel this way as well, but the the visual and like the visuals of the films and the music and the movement and the costumes, like he has
Yeah,
a very
the lighting.
clear vision and he nails it every single time. And I honestly don't think that there's probably only maybe 5, if I'm stretching it, directors that I can think of. Wes Anderson is another one where like you can look
You
at a
recognize who the
movie and you
director is.
know who the director is. And I feel like
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann is one of those directors where even this movie, which is vastly different from Romeo and Juliet, certainly from Moulin
Is
Rouge,
it?
you can stare at them. It is though. Like I mean,
Let's
in
talk
like
about it. Costumes, melodramatic, like side, like
I guess
side characters. It
it isn't in tone and in vision
it's
and in
also a coming of age. It's
yeah.
discovering who you want to be, breaking through the rigid
Yeah,
norms of
yeah, you might
society or
you might be
ballroom.
right on all that. Yeah, I just like it's this one is a like romantic comedy. That one is 100% a tragedy. Like there's certainly romance in it,
Yes.
but I like it
I feel like
the
he puts
the
his
time
structure
period like
with
it's like
different
an
plots.
yeah, it's an all yeah, it's just I think it's just the overall I guess I mean obviously just the direction of it
His
and the
style, yeah,
production style of all of it, but
yeah,
yeah, there's a beauty in his films that is certainly incredibly intentional. And the only other director I can think off the top of my head that is that close is Wes Anderson, where you look at his
yeah.
movies and you're like, that's a Wes Anderson movie. You can look at these movies and
Kubrick.
say, yeah,
You
yeah,
know Kubrick because they're gonna do that creepy Kubrick stare,
that is
which I
true.
was going to just do that right now for our viewers, but I can't even because it's just so creepy.
Listeners, you'll be happy that you are listeners today. Do not watch the video version.
No. But I mean, but mind you, Kubrick, it's the Kubrick stare. Once you see that, you know. But like
Yeah.
this, like fully stylized, yeah,
Mhm.
Baz Luhrmann, Wes Anderson are at the top. Like it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I also
It's
adore Wes Anderson.
oh
I'm
I'm
adoring
living.
this social media trend on TikTok that everybody's like, oh, if you're going to take the dog for a walk, don't make it a Wes Anderson movie. And they do. And it's very adorable.
Yeah, I am. So
We should get people to do that with Baz Luhrmann
I
movies.
know
Make
we
everything
should.
camp.
We should. We should make everything camp. It's not even camp though, because yeah, it's like
It's not.
it's
I
over
mean,
the top. I would say
yes,
it's big. It's bigger than life. It's like
it's
yet
exaggerated.
it's exaggerated yet somehow
Yeah.
authentic. Paul nailing it with the comments today. He's saying it's like a very campy movie that you don't realize was campy until it's over, and that is like 100%.
Yeah.
It's 100% it, and I think part of that, and it obviously has worked with this movie and so many other movies and TV shows, but that kind of like mockumentary style where you're
Yes.
breaking the fourth wall, and it's telling a story, both watching the story and then hearing directly from the characters about what's happening, I think really works in a comedy setting. And it, like, you can be kind of campy with it
Oh, yeah.
and playful with it, and it just again, Best in Show is another
I
one
mean,
that does
we
a really
often
great job
see
with
it
it.
in comedy setting, film,
Yeah.
TV, The Office,
Yeah,
The
The
American
Office did a great
Office.
job with it. Yeah.
So Katie
Yeah.
and I, just for our listeners, we had seen the original version, which was, there was a British version of the TV show The Office.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of
years.
people know the British one at this point because Ricky Gervais
I
has
would
become
think so,
super popular.
but we had seen it when it originally aired, and then
we
like
knew
years
we
later,
know what it
there's
was
the American
before it
Office.
was cool.
Yeah, my brother keeps accusing us of being hipsters.
We are 100%.
And I'm like,
hipsters.
no, we were like this before hipsters. He's like, that's what a hipster would say. I'm like, there's no such thing as hipsters anymore. And he's like, that's also what a hipster would say. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Well, Baz Luhrmann had nailed it long before either Office came out. So there's that.
Yes. Yeah. No, but it lends very well to a comedy setting, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
I have to say, I do love the fashions in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all very, like, 1992 is very trending right now. There's the front pleated pants, the crop tops, the flouncy skirts, like the floaty skirts. The crystals and glitter are coming back. The glitter in the hair is coming back. Like, I've seen that.
Amen. I'm in.
It's wild that a lot of this, like, all the style in this, which was very campy in this movie and very over the top, is actually just in style right now. It's like people watched old movies and were like, let's bring this back. I think it's fantastic.
Well, here are some amazing fun facts that relate directly to that, Nat. Baz Luhrmann met his future wife, Catherine Martin, in 1988. She was the costume director for both the Strictly Ballroom movie and the stage show.
Apparently it's coming back.
Yeah.
Apparently there's going to be a Strictly Ballroom musical.
Yeah,
and they actually just...
and they're going to do it. Yeah.
I saw something about casting the Scott Hastings part.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'd go see that. Let's go to Australia.
No, yeah, absolutely. We should just go to Australia anyway.
I love Australia. I mean, everything there wants to kill you. Facts.
True.
They have the most poisonous everything, and it is quite moist the more north you go. Let me tell you, their humidity is on a different level.
I'm just looking through some of these other facts. In a big setback, the only theater part of a large chain that was to screen the film dropped it after an executive believed the film wasn't worthy of a cinema release. Which is shame. I'm sure that they bit that one. The song "Love Is in the Air" became a top 5 hit on the Australian music charts. Don't get us canceled, Nat.
Sorry. Okay, if my terrible singing gets us canceled for copyright, like, you're stretching it, YouTube, stretching it.
There are 200 costumes in the show, decorated with 745 meters of colored ostrich features.
There is so much ostrich feather.
Is 5 kilograms. There are 84 wigs in the show, valued at $4,000.
There are a lot of wigs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Those are fun facts actually about this stage show. But yeah, that is pretty.
You know, it actually just sounds like a drag show.
It's up there.
Can we say that? I feel like
yeah.
I have no factual basis of this, but I feel like this movie influenced drag, like pageant drag.
Oh my gosh.
Which, I
Oh my
mean, it
gosh.
makes sense.
The
Ostrich
f-
feathers,
the
glitter,
first
rhinestones.
scene that was filmed of this movie was the finale, the dance competition finale. It was filmed at a real dance
Wow.
competition during the 1 hour lunch break. And Paul Mercutio, who plays Mercurio, I'm in the Romeo and Juliet phase. Paul Mercurio, who
Scott.
plays Scott, danced that scene with a sprained ankle, which is really badass, all things considered.
That's
Yeah.
brutal. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
again, when I used to dance, I've definitely danced on sprained ankles and broken toes. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, how?
How though? How?
Used to
Yeah.
just go like
The show
backstage
must
and
go
like
on.
not even backstage, side stage, crack them back in a place and tape them and go back on stage. Mental.
Hard.
Used to pour blood out of my dance shoes, toe shoes, ballet.
Ooh, hard
Ugh.
pass.
I love Paul's comment. I think drag influenced the movie. Correct. That is,
Correct. Yeah.
mind you, I think drag and ballroom, well, I mean, they do have a very distinct link. Because there is a whole ballroom scene that when drag was underground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I love it. I love it. I love seeing this glitter and
Yeah.
costumes and
And now I'm glad
comedy.
that I know this is like the wrong order to do these in because we really should have done Strictly Ballroom and then
Romeo and
Romeo and
Juliet.
Juliet and then Moulin Rouge. But I'm glad we did them in this order because I
Yeah.
feel like now I'm like very ready for Moulin. Not that I'm not normally ready for Moulin Rouge, but like now I'm at a heightened level of excitement getting ready for next week's Moulin Rouge because I think it'll just be
I
absolutely fantastic.
remember when Moulin Rouge came out and other people realizing that Ewan McGregor was as attractive as he is. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
they're like, he can
how did you not
sing?
realize this before?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
he's Scottish, he's beautiful. Yes, he's famous for playing a drug addict, but still,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Train Spotting. That movie was
Yes.
called Train Spotting.
Yes.
Which
That's
if
another
you
good one
haven't
we
seen
should
Train
do. Yeah.
Spotting and you'd like to see it, for people who are not great on a Glaswegian accent, put on the
Put on the
subtitles.
subtitles.
There's no shame in that.
We will never judge you for putting on the subtitles.
Did we, when we were in Scotland, did we not go to the Train Spotting bar
I
in
think
this
we
from the
did.
second movie? We
I think
did.
we
We
did.
walked into
Yeah.
that, and I think they were playing a football match for the Americans, a soccer game. And it was I feel like it was a Protestant bar, and we cheer, or I cheer for the Catholic team, and that's still a thing. That
Mm-hmm.
is still the Protestant Catholic thing is so real in parts of Europe and the
Mm-hmm.
UK still. I was shocked to see that that was like, I'm like, oh wow, like you have to not talk about religion for real because it will be a bar fight. That surprised me. I was like, oh, we're not over this yet? It's been a couple millennia, but
Nope,
whatever.
we're not over it yet.
Oh,
We are not over it yet. All right, are we ready for our grand potato reveal? We really need to start reviewing movies where we don't give 5 potatoes. But here we are.
yeah.
Here we are. 5 potatoes. If you're new or if you're listening and you're like, what are potatoes?
They're Christian
Potatoes
taters.
are Christian taters. So our Christian Slater potato rating goes from 1 to 5, unless we feel really adventurous and add in more. And you know what?
Mhm.
I had to answer this question the other day on yesterday. I guess it was. I was on our friend's podcast, If These Balls Could Talk, which is a fantastic podcast if you're into sports. And if you want to
Yes.
listen to me pretend to be into sports, you can catch yesterday's episode. But they asked me why potatoes, and I told them that this particular run of potatoes was because
Yeah.
we are constantly trying to one up each other with gifts, and I won that year in finding
You won
a
forever.
I
I'm
won in
sorry.
founding a potato that I could put Christian Slater's face on and send it to you.
Mhm.
But I don't remember why initially potatoes, other than we had nicknamed it a potato,
Our
the potato of
brothers,
death. But I don't remember exactly. Yes, we do refer to our brothers as Spud.
a
So that
spud.
But there's
Yeah,
also the
your
potato
younger
of
brother, my
death.
younger brother, they're both spud.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We should do our best to try to remember and come up, or lie and come up with a really clever backstory. But our movie review
Maybe we just like
system is
potatoes.
1 to 5 potatoes rather than stars. And this movie gets all 5 because it really, I mean, it's just heartwarming for
It is.
virtually anyone. And if you don't like it, you're wrong. and we really, I would watch
Hey,
it
any
over and over.
movie, like any movie that can make you tear up with joy by the
Yeah.
end of it, where you're like, yay, I love this. I'm so happy inside. Like if
Yeah.
that it's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a
A good
solidly good
movie.
movie. Yep.
Katie, I have
Agreed.
to point out, you did actually inadvertently reveal the origin story of the potatoes. It is the potato of death.
Yeah. But I don't remember
Okay.
why it was the potato of death. I
Oh,
know that in our history
let
we
me
had a
tell you
potato
guys.
of death, but I don't know. John and Mark were like, what?
What's
And I
the
was like, I
potato of
just
death?
skirted over it. I was like, at one point there was a potato of death.
I
And
can
then I
tell
bought
you.
a potato that was dressed like Christian Slater. And they were like, what is happening right now? Let's talk
Okay.
sports.
Okay, let me tell you the origin story of the potato of death, because Katie
Please
doesn't
do.
remember. So come with me back down memory lane, Katie. We were at my cabin in the summer
Mm-hmm.
many, many moons
Yes.
ago. We
This
might
I
have been
remember.
between 13 and 15, somewhere in
Yes.
there.
I remember the era. I remember the setting. I remember it involved Adam. And I remember there being
Our
a
friend
potato
Adam
of death.
and Chris.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was you that asked. And we were
Sounds
like,
like me
being
already.
young, we were like on sort of like candy burnout. Like we had too much candy, too many
Yeah.
fuzzy
Actual
peaches.
candy, not really a
Actual
drug.
candy, like
Actual
fuzzy
sugar high
peaches
candy.
and
Yes.
sour cherries and gummy bears and gummy
Yes.
worms.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like burnt out after the sugar high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you asked if you could be a potato, what kind of potato would you
This
be?
is
And we
coming
went
back to
around the
me.
room.
Yes. Yep.
And you were like, I would be mashed potatoes
I
because
would.
they're yummy and delicious.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't remember what my answer was, but our friend Adam was
Your
like,
answer
I
was
would be the
irrelevant.
potato of death.
That was
And we're like,
it. That was
what?
it.
Yeah, he never explained. He's like, yeah, the potato of death. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, well,
gosh.
what's the
So
potato of death? That's it.
we
That's the
need
story. That's
we
our
need to
obsession.
find, and listeners and viewers and
Mhm.
Paul and Kimberly, we need to find a movie that is so bad from the 80s or 90s that we can rate it just one giant potato of death. So join us once we're done with Moulin Rouge and some other ones that we have on our list. What is the movie where we would be able to just rate it a potato of death? I feel like that's like the, you know, Rotten Tomato equivalent, where it's just like the movie bombed, the movie
Siskel and Ebert,
potato
2
of
thumbs
death.
down.
Yeah, exactly. We need to find that to really to
I know.
counteract all of these really amazing movies with like
Yes.
to be a good review show. I feel like we need to experience like a movie where we're both like, ooh, that was bad. That was potato of death bad.
There was a movie in the 80s that was considered the worst movie ever made. It was so over budget, it made almost no dollars. And it was a very big budget movie.
Yeah, like how do you
But
define
I
a bad
love that
movie though?
movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because there's a lot of those kinds of
Oh,
movies that are like cult classics, right? Yeah.
it is now. And for anybody who wants to know, that movie is The Streets of Fire, a rock and roll fable.
Ooh.
Starring Michael Paré and Diane Lane and Rick Moranis. It's fantastic.
I do
And
love
Willem
Rick
Dafoe.
Moranis.
You know, Willem
Oh.
Dafoe used to be like bodybuilder buff.
Ooh,
He
we
was
may
in
have to
this
watch
movie.
this one, and then we can have a
It's so
debate. We could have a debate as to whether or not it really is potato of death bad. I like it.
love
I think
it.
we'll have to add it to the list. Well, on
There's
that note,
also
go ahead.
there's another movie that's really, really bad, and I also love it. I think it came out in the 90s. It's called The Room.
Oh yes,
Which
I have seen The Room. I have
James
seen The Room.
Franco and
Yep.
and Seth Rogen did a movie, like a sort of also a mockumentary of that movie being made.
Yeah.
Both are fantastic.
We should watch both back to back.
It's so bad that it's good. Like it's It's genuinely terrible, but I love it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. We'll have to find just a bad movie.
All right, we're on a quest. Join us,
Find a terrible
video
movie.
rental fans of which VHS movie. So it has to have existed as a VHS or maybe like earlier DVD. But
And not
in
Hamlet 2000. We already did that one.
in that area. My story about potatoes in Slack follows. Yeah, I will share. Yeah, potatoes are wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've done it again. You wasted another perfectly good hour here hanging out listening to movies. This one was amazing. Please go and watch it, rewatch it, force your friends and family to watch it, buy it and send it to everyone. Everyone should see this movie. Next week we will be talking about Moulin Rouge. If you like this show, which we hope you do, please leave us a review. We're working our way up, but we're gonna keep doing the show anyway. So if you don't like it, don't leave us a review. But if you really like us, leave us a review, or better yet, share an episode with a friend or family member. That means a lot. We are here every single Thursday. Most Thursdays, 98% of Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. And then episodes drop video and audio wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube and YouTube Music. And yeah, what else, Nat? What else do we have to say? What else is on our list? Yeah.
We have to do our little outro thing. Not this part, but like
yeah.
the music screen, because we forget that sometimes.
Yeah, every episode I'm like, I'll write out the outro, and then I'm like, you know what? No, we're just having fun with this show. So yeah, you don't have to put up with me. Oh, we have an Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram. We are at the VHS Pod. You can email us the VHS Pod at gmail.com. You can send us emails with movie recommendations. You can leave movie recommendations here. You can, if you know us personally, you can send us movie recommendations. We have a very long list. I was joking on yesterday's podcast on If These Balls Could Talk about, they were like, what's on your list? And I was like, if I'm being totally honest with you,
like
my list is
movies.
Entirely in my head, even though there are 300 movies.
Oh, I wrote it out.
And in multiple locations that I can't find.
It's in our shared docs.
I don't ever update. So Natalie knows my list. And sometimes the list gets hijacked with like other things that people put in front of me at the moment. Or, you know, things I watch by myself versus things I watch in a group versus things I watch with my husband. So it's an ever-changing list. But you can get your movie on the list just by being awesome and showing up. Paul and Kimberly always get their movies on the list because they show up in our live chat.
Yeah, we love them.
We love them. We love them. And Mel still said that she and Mark Pesci will come on to talk about Clueless. So that one needs to be on our list as well. We can quiz them.
We could do a Jane Austen series.
We could. Except I really like the newest Persuasion, even though I know it's not.
I
like
loved it.
I loved it, and it's too new for us to talk about.
The kids didn't
really
like it. The kids on the internet didn't like the new Persuasion. I'm like, tell me what's wrong with it. Everything you said is wrong. You're not right. It is very good. I'm sorry. Persuasion, by the way, is my favorite Jane Austen book. Favorite. I know, more than Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. But, I mean, not, like, movie-wise, obviously Colin Firth. And don't even come at me with the other one. I'm sorry. If you are young enough to like the other one more than Colin Firth, you're not right. Go watch Colin Firth.
Get out of the movie store. You're not welcome here. Yeah, no.
Sorry, this VHS tape is damaged. It wasn't rewound.
Oh,
you're banished.
Well, on that note, we will see you all next week. Maybe we'll be talking. No, we're going to be talking about Moulin Rouge. We hope that you'll catch us next time. Thank you for everything.
And be kind and rewind.
Be kind and rewind.